When I first came to Duke, I knew I wanted to study science. As I was sitting in these science lectures, I felt like something was missing. They have so many layers of cultural, political, and social aspects that I knew I wanted to explore the environmental humanities in this Story Plus project, where I created a podcast that talked about environmental issues with the team. The National Humanities Center, which is based in Research Triangle Park, recognized the need for the humanities, the stories. We needed humanities and stories to help galvanize us out of our despair and into action. And from that need, our Story Plus project was born. The environmental humanities are a field that combine a lot of different disciplines. It causes us to question our assumptions about the environment. It challenges us to reimagine our relationship with the environment.
We settled on the theme, which Anna mentioned earlier, is the idea of home. What is a home? How can the environment be a home to us? And how can we be good stewards of what we've been given and make it a home for future generations?
So we really wanted it to be both familiar and really large and radical. So on the familiar level, we wanted the listener to be able to identify with the scholars, to kind of empathize with what they were talking about, but then to also present new ideas that could hopefully inspire change, inspire some sort of paradigm shift, or best case scenario, positive environmental action from our listeners.
Our podcast episode seeks to highlight the intricate connections between humans and nature. So we want people to become more invested in their communities, whether it's the bees in our backyard, the local strawberry farmers, or our neighbors across the sea.
I think most of all.
So the only thing that makes me nervous is that he's not answering that question.
Mm-hmm. Hearing some of the stories that got brought up in our podcast was very inspiring, especially the photographer that we interviewed, Justin Cook. He told us how glad he was that we were doing this and that a group of women were taking this project because we need more representation in the field.
The raw power of the ocean, that's beautiful, and I think that people can connect to that.
That sounds so good, right?
Yeah.
Yay! That's the cut. He's doing a photography project focusing on this tiny plot of land, but how there's so much history connected to it and how environmental change is not only changing the physical landscape, but also really deeply impacting people's identities and their history and their culture.
So this Story Plus project was as much a personal exploration of our values as well as an academic one. So thank you so much for all your support. Facts alone are not enough to change people's mind. We need the stories, we need the emotion to help foster environmental change.